Well, moving on, another thing that's hitting farmers' pocketbooks is the threat of Chinese trade tariffs. Although some of the talk has cooled off lately, it's still shadowing the markets.
Shadowing us right now is TWILA's Neil Melancon. Neil, I understand that it stopped some shipments mid-ocean.
Yeah, in fact, it was 20 ships full of grain sorghum that got their course changed right as these Chinese tariffs were being announced. And it's kind of a worrying sign. The Chinese enacted these anti-dumping penalties on U.S. products, not just for sorghum, though, for other crops grown in Louisiana, like soybeans, where planting is just now getting underway.
Soybean seed is stacked to the ceiling at Olivier Farms in Arnaudville here. They've been waiting for things to dry out after an unusually wet spring to plant, which is why they still have these 3,500 acres unplanted. Looming higher than these soybean seeds, however, is the threat of what lower prices may bring.
Tariff does concern me for long-term price or price decrease, because we're working on a very thin margin of profit on soybeans as it is. $10 is about what it takes just to make us consider or be close to being in a profit margin. And today I think soybeans are selling for $10.30 something, so there's not a whole lot of profit margin to be made. If this tariff forces the price to drop 40 or 50 cents, it may put us out of the black. So it's a big concern for us long term.
Joey farms with his son Aaron, who's getting the equipment ready. He's focused on the task at hand because while he recognizes the harm tariffs might do, it's all still up in the air right now.
There's already talks of subsidies that could come into play, which, that might help in the long term. Maybe if these tariffs come into place and then the government actually enacts these subsidies to help us out, it might counteract the negatives. So. Obviously it could hurt, It's hard to really know and see until it comes into play.
While the Oliviers are waiting on things to dry out, their seed dealer, Dennis Marcantel, pays them a visit. He said lower prices, whether from tariffs or from the huge supply of soybeans already out there, are a big threat to his business.
Kind of early, but if you give it another month or two, the way the commodity market could go down some more, and some of these guys in South Louisiana could back off the soybean acre.
East of the Oliviers in Irwinville, Ray Scheck-Snyder is checking on the 250 acres of beans he's already planted so far. He knows that many of these soybeans growing here will one day make their way to China, where the tariffs will hit them hardest. However, it's been an issue that growers like him have been working on since before the tariff issue even came up.
Being that China is our biggest importer of soybeans, it was kind of a big scare when it first got announced, thinking that they would retaliate, but I don't know if there's just that much usage worldwide that, and that's what kind of the United Soybean Board that I serve on, we're starting to look into some of these countries that aren't such big users of beans and trying to get them to use more.
We're still a ways off from both tariffs and the soybean harvest, but it's going to be something we're going to have to watch very closely. And guys, it's just always on the horizon, but we've had these razor thin margins. One of the big causes of that is this huge amount of soybeans that are just overshadowing the market. And it's, that's as worrying to these guys, I think, as any threats of Chinese tariffs.
I'll tell you somebody I know who's watching it very closely.
Landon White.
Landon and Lynn White.
Yes.
They are very concerned about the tariff and prices overall.
Now, another thing I think I found interesting, I was talking to Ray Scheck-Snyder, is these cool temperatures at night that we've had so far into April here and into May even. It's worrying for them because Ray was telling me that a lot of times the soybean will actually start growing down because it's warmer underground than it is above as they're seeding. And so what happens is you get these squirrely looking soybeans, and it often causes mortality.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it's just another, it's just a weird season for these guys right now.
It's been a weird couple of years. Thank you very much, Neil Melancon.